Hello, welcome to Neuqua Connection. I'm your host, Michael Gooder, and today we have a special guest, Mayor Chirico. Hello, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me today.
So you've been mayor for a little over 2 years now. How has that experience been?
It's an honor. I've lived in this community my entire life, so to be able to have a time when I can give back and serve has been just a great experience.
That's good. Has it been what you've expected, or are there any differences in what you thought it would be like?
Well, as mayor, you know, the thing that you have to remember is you're mayor 24/7, so you have to be available at any time, day or night, to take a phone call and to make important decisions and be informed and be available. And so that's something that you have to be prepared for. And you know, it's a serious job, so I take it seriously. And but there's a lot of great things. You get to meet a lot of people and help people, and so we enjoy it. I enjoy it a lot.
Yeah. So what first inspired you to get involved in politics and eventually becoming the mayor?
You know, I was a city councilman prior to being mayor, so for 4 years. So this is my 6th year serving the public. And I decided to get involved with it just because mainly I felt like our state was going in the wrong direction and that we needed to just have a little bit more business-minded representation within our elected bodies. And so I decided to be involved for that reason.
So recently there was a ranking out. Naperville was ranked number 2 in the nation, which is outstanding and awesome. Only city ahead of it was Ann Arbor, Michigan. And so what helps us get that far to number 2? What do you think the strengths are in our community?
Well, first of all, I've been to Ann Arbor, and it is a lovely town. It really is a nice town. Naperville, I mean, great schools, great parks, beautiful parks. We have a great housing inventory so that a wide variety of people can enjoy the community. We're a safe neighborhood, safe community, one of the safest communities, in fact, the safest community of communities over 100,000 in the United States. You know, there's a lot of things that go into these metrics, you know, the number of jobs that are available, the average income, all sorts of different things. And so it's not any one thing that we could do to put us to number 1. But I will tell you that being number 2 in a country this size is pretty good accomplishment.
Yeah,
So
it's great accomplishment. So what have been the biggest big adversity that you've had to overcome in your 2 years?
I think probably the biggest thing, the most difficult decision that we had to make was when we had to recommend and ultimately approve a sales tax increase. Nobody wants to pay more in taxes, but in an effort to try to stabilize the finances, I mean, Naperville was a very different type of economy. We went from an expanding, growing city to a city that reached its borders and then really didn't have nearly as much development. And so we had to change our revenue streams and look at different ways to finance the schools and the police and public safety and transportation systems. And so that was difficult because nobody wants to look at different or new taxes. And so, but at the same time, it was the right decision. And doing that, we have now a long, sustainable financial plan that will take us many, many years into the future on a stable course. So
that's good. So you said you grew up here, all around Naperville, your whole life. How has it changed throughout your life, and how do you plan to keep it growing?
How has it changed? Well, when I moved here, it had 10,000 people, so we have about 150,000 people now. My kids went to Neuqua, and I lived out in Naperville, and we were the furthest south subdivision in Naperville at that time. So now it's like the center of Naperville. So there's been lots of changes in that way. But how do we keep it a vibrant community? I think we have to be open to continue and make it a cultural experience in Naperville, and celebrating our diversity, and really trying to leverage the different types of people that we have in this community, and in the way that we we dine, with different types of restaurants, and the way that we have celebrations during the weekends and parades and picnics and things like that, and just and always make it a good, fun experience for anybody who wants to come and visit our community, or of course people who live here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the diversity in the community, I know like where I live, there's a lot of diversity. Do you think that has played like a key role in like making just such a unique place to live and different than all the other like cities around here?
Oh, most definitely. I mean, it just came out recently, the ranking of Naperville. 10 years ago, we had what they classify as non-white residents, 85%, and then this year, about 75%. So, it's about a 40% increase in the diversity of our community without really growing much. So that's just changing over our, people moving, coming, and going. So that's a big deal, and I think that is, makes a good case and a strong case that this is a community that celebrates that and really welcomes the different ethnic and cultural backgrounds.
Yeah. So, do you have like four of like one of the biggest schools in like you got Waubonsie, Naperville Central, Naperville North, and Neuqua? Do you think the education it's so good? Do you think that helps put us up there in the top obviously the second best city in the nation? Do you think that helps the rankings?
Yeah, most definitely. That's one of the key components in the matrix is the quality of the schools, and Naperville has consistently ranked among the top in the state, and certainly and many times in the top in the nation as well, and this year was no exception. I just saw a report that came out recently that put all 5 of our high schools in the top 50 in the nation, which is just, that's,
Yeah,
I think there's
that's
28,000 high schools, I believe, in the nation. And so to be in that top 50 is quite an accomplishment.
Yeah, that's awesome. Neuqua Valley obviously is one of the biggest, Naperville Central, all of them. And the education here is great. And is there anything you guys hope to improve on, or do you guys want to keep it how it is right now?
Oh, we can always improve. I mean, we're good, but we want to be better. Obviously, we need to, our school district is a separate governing body than our city and the mayor's office. But as a mayor, we need to make sure that we keep a vibrant community, a community that has a very strong business district and environment, because that's what supports our education. That's what supports our parks. To have businesses in your community, that's what helps to fund all of the amenities that the residents of Naperville love, but can't necessarily afford if it's just property taxes.
I think you were a businessman before you came into politics, am I right?
That's right.
How did you get involved in that? Was it your first passion?
In business?
Yeah.
Well, I sort of fell into it. This is one of the things that I think that a lot of students, in high school, when you start thinking about what am I going to do, people, you can have a lot of pressure about things like that. And the truth is that oftentimes you don't end up where you think you're going to be. And certainly that was my case. I had no idea I would be a business owner, but working my way through college, I started a small company called Great Western Tile just to help get myself through college, and then ultimately just stayed with that career and opened up some stores and made a career out of it. And 35 years later, I'm still doing it.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
How is it hard to manage both of your jobs at the same time, or do you like having both those going on?
I'm full-time mayor, and so I was very fortunate. My 2 oldest daughters, both Neuqua graduates, and both University of Illinois business students, have decided to take over the business, and so they run our company now. And that enables me to be able to spend the time I have to spend at the mayor's office.
But still get to look, yeah. How's it how has it been you get to see your daughters carry on what you started? Is that a good feeling?
It's amazing. I mean, it's probably one of the greatest unexpected surprises in my adult life, my work life, is having the opportunity to work with my children. And I'll tell you something, because I'm the type of manager that I am, where I'm just sort of hands off and allowing them to make changes and to grow the company the way they think it should be grown. It's really demonstrated what a positive change can be. When you have someone new, fresh eyes, and younger views come in and take a look at an organization and what they can do to make it better. As long as you're open to it, a lot of good things can happen.
So we're running out of time, but one last question.
Sure.
Do you have any words of wisdom to like young kids like us in high school that want to like follow their dreams and pursue like politics?
Well, pursuing politics, I'm not sure about that right now, but good people should get involved with politics. We shouldn't be frustrated with the things that go bad, because that does happen. But we do need good people to be in leadership positions and to help make these decisions that are so important to the community. And so I do hope that young people have an interest in that. But probably the biggest piece of advice I can give is don't get too worked up in high school, junior year, senior year about a lot of these decisions. I mean, they're important decisions, but at the end of the day, you know, it's going to work out. Everybody has a path, and you'll figure it out. You'll figure out what that path is, and it works out. And I think that there's a lot of unnecessary stress that goes on high school students today that we could probably avoid in homes, parents, but also in the schools. So that'd be my piece of advice.
All right.
Just you know, keep balanced.
Thank you so much. And for Neuqua Connection, I'm your host, Michael Gooder, and let's give a big round of applause for our special guest, Mayor Chirico.
Thank you.
Hey, Michael!
All right. All good?